Here is another CEO You Should Know on iHeartRadio.
Welcome to CEOs You Should Know. I'm Dave Wilson, and our guest today is Ben Bolander, the Executive Director of Hartman Arena. Ben, thanks for coming and being on the show today.
Thank you. Glad I could make it. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's talk about your Wichita story, Ben. How long have you lived here? What brought you here? Those sort of things.
My Wichita story. So originally born and raised outside Chicago area from Rockford, Illinois. Lived most of my life there, went to school there. Bounced around the country a little bit. I was in Kennewick, Washington for about 6 years, Denver for a year, and then Evansville for 3 years before coming here to Wichita. In April of 2015, I came out to kind of help interim, fill in some temporary roles while they were going through some transitions out there. And never in my life did I think I would live in Tornado Alley, and never in my life did I ever want to. But it took maybe 30, 45 days, and Wichita just grew on me, and I loved it. And long story short, they ended up offering me the position here at Hartman, and I accepted, and I've loved it ever since. It's such a great community to be a part of. It's huge. You know, living in so many different cities, I've seen a lot of different makeups of people that are local always sometimes tend to not enjoy their town. But here, everyone seems to be behind it and support it, and there's just so much to do that other cities don't have of this size, this magnitude, and in the middle of Kansas. Although I will say I moved here on a Sunday, and by Wednesday there was already a tornado up in Sedgwick.
Oh, so is that right?
That kind of scared me a little bit, and plus I thought it was Sedgwick County, not Sedgwick, the actual
Sedgwick, Kansas.
Yeah. So that confused me a little bit, but knock on wood, nothing too dangerous since then. So
not quite as cold as Chicago either.
No, not as cold. The wind is interesting as well. It hurts the golf game a little bit, but you get used to playing into the wind.
You have to adjust.
Yeah. It hurts you when you go back home and there is no wind like that, and you're aiming 20 yards to the left and your friends are laughing at you, but that's what it takes, I guess.
Play them here and you can show them.
Yeah, exactly.
Ben, tell us about your education and work experience prior to coming on board with Hartman Arena.
Well, like I said, born and raised Rockford, Illinois, started small community college there out of high school, and then went to Northern Illinois University, which is in DeKalb, Illinois. While I was there, I was actually going to school to be a geographer. I wanted to learn a GIS system and help map out cities and satellite photos and that such. But I kind of randomly took a class on event planning, and it was through the sports management program there at NIU, and it just came natural to me. So I said, okay, let's try this. I got a job at the local arena, just kind of taking tickets, and ended up enjoying it. They had an internship open. I applied for that and ended up going for my master's for sports management there at NIU and working at the arena for 2 years. From there, I started working for the company I work for now, which is VenueWorks. VenueWorks is a venue management company based out of Iowa, and they have multiple arenas and theaters and convention centers across the United States. But I started working for them in Kennewick, Washington, which is the southeast corner of Washington, so very desert-ish climate, wine country, wine valley, different environment than Seattle. Not a lot of rain, no rainforest. It's dirt and wind and hot. So from there, went out to Pittsburgh for a brief time to learn some things there, and eventually landed in Evansville, Indiana, where we had an 1,800-seat theater and a 10,000-seat arena. That was a great learning ground of how to deal with different types of politics and unions that exist there. But again, one of those communities that just grew on me. I was there for 3 years before I came out here in April of 15, and officially started my career at Hartman July of 2015. So almost 4 years now.
Right. What was it about event planning that got you so interested in going in that direction?
I think looking back, even when I was a kid and going through middle school and high school, I would throw these epic parties for our classmates. And it wasn't anything, like you see in the movies, but it was just 40, 50 to 80 people coming out. We had a pool. We lived in the country of 6 acres, and we had a good time. And it was always so much fun to plan and to try and grill and cook for 60 people was, as a high school kid, was always difficult. Of course, I didn't at that age. Didn't realize the cost of doing it, but my mom did. So I don't know. That just always came fun to me. And when I was at NIU and I was doing a kind of the marketing graduate assistantship that I was in, part of my job was to take down photographers, newspaper photographers, down to the front of the stage to take photos of the concert for the first 3 songs. And it was the first concert I ever worked was Goo Goo Dolls.
Okay.
I took the photographers down to the front of the stage, and while they were taking pictures, I just turned around and looked, and there were 5,000 people smiling, laughing, and having a great time. And ever since then, that's been what has kind of drove me to do what I do, is to put a smile on people's faces and make sure that they can enjoy something that's just outside of their normal life.
Right.
That's about it.
Nice. You're listening to CEOs You Should Know this morning. Our guest, Ben Bolander, the Executive Director of Hartman Arena. Let's talk about, Ben, how your prior experience and education came to help you with what you're doing now at Hartman Arena.
Well, not a lot of people can always say that they went to school for what they do. I was lucky enough, I ended up graduating with a bachelor's in economics, but with the master's in sports management, learning from the dean of our college has kind of helped me grow throughout my career. He was a very blunt person, which I tend to be as well. He said up front that you are going to work incredible long hours, nights, weekends, and holidays, and you're not going to get compensated very well for it. Don't expect to get out of college and be immediately bumped to a management pay and have that lifestyle. You are going to be, grunt is the wrong word to use, but you're going to have to work your way to the top. And not a lot of people listen to that, but I took it to heart and focused on how to listen to my future managers and directors rather than trying to insert my opinion and my thoughts. Instead, I just sat back and listened and learned from them and did the work. And eventually that just kind of grew me to having the opportunities. And I will say I've been very fortunate with the opportunities I've had to advance to executive director or general manager level, however you want to term it. It's been fun. It's been long. It's been fortunate, but there's a lot I took from college, a lot I took from my first job in college. I would say, going back, the dean of our college was probably mentor number 1. Mentor number 2, I can't use names. I will say that I had someone that I reported to early in my career before I started moving away from home. That was the human being that you don't ever want to be. And it kind of taught you how a manager can go wrong, or what you should not carry with you, or
right.
When you reflect on yourself, you want to make sure you are not that kind of person. And so that, that showed me essentially a different path to take, and there is a better way to sometimes do things. And luckily, when I left Illinois and I went out to Washington State, I had 2 great mentors teach me this environment, this industry, and I've been extremely grateful to them ever since. I would say Kennewick is probably one of the bigger influences in my career, just from having a fun story. When I first moved out there, I was just going to be an event manager.
Okay.
Which pretty much meant that the event came show day, and I was in charge of planning the staffing, coordinating the event, and making sure that everyone came in and left safely and had a good time. There's more to it than that, but that was going to be the basis of my job, just an event manager. I went out there day 7. The associate director of the 3 venues that we had there was let go. And so the director, and granted, I just moved, 2,000 miles away. The director came to me and said, "Okay, you're all I got. You ready?"
Oh, wow.
I'm 2 years out of college. I don't know what I'm going to do, but all right. I said, sure, I'll do it. I'm going to make mistakes. And he said, that's fine. Just learn from them. So I kind of went from just being an event manager straight to an assistant director within 7 days. And that was trial by fire more than anything. But I learned so much and made so many mistakes. It was fun.
Yeah. Trial by fire.
Yeah, big time.
Crazy.
Yeah.
What does a typical year look like for the executive director of Hartman Arena?
Wow, I don't know if there is a typical year. There's not a typical day.
Really?
Each day is different. That's what I love about this business. We have our busy seasons. We have our slow seasons. Obviously, the summer is a little bit slower for most arenas. Our bulk of our season is anywhere from, depending if you have a tenant like a hockey or basketball team, but from September through May. And then your summers are a little bit slower. So I would say that's probably the most typical portion, is that your summers are a little bit slower, and your fall and winter and spring are pretty busy. We start the year, if we do calendar year from January on, we're heavy with sports and concerts. This coming weekend we have February 22nd, 23rd, we have the state wrestling tournament, 5A and 6A. That'll be their 9th year at Hartman Arena.
Wow.
And we actually, we haven't sent out the press release, but I can share it with you guys. We signed them to a 5-year extension beyond that.
Oh,
so, not only will this be their 9th year, but we get 5 more years with the Acacia State Wrestling 5A, 6A tournament. But beyond that, there's basketball, there's the KCAC championships, there's Region 6 basketball tournament, there's conferences, circus, different comedians, concerts. And then in the fall, it's more focused towards our concert life and our convention life, with maybe corporate parties mixed in here and there. But really, I don't think it'd be hard to define a typical year. It's a lot of travel, a lot of planning for, we're already planning 2020 dates, and some holds into 2021. So it's ever changing.
That's what makes it exciting.
Yeah. I mean, we're 6,500 seats, and we have a full-time staff of 8 people.
Wow.
So we don't have a lot to kind of push off onto other departments. We all work as a team and have to actually do the work ourselves as well. So it's a lot of fun, and we have a great team out there.
We're talking with Ben Bolander today, Executive Director of Hartman Arena, on CEOs You Should Know. Ben, what are your dreams for the future of Hartman Arena?
Dreams for the future, wow. Well, I can say when I started in 2015, there was some transition period that the arena was going through. There were some relationships that needed to be mended, and just some growth that needed to happen. One thing we did back then, one of the first things I had all of our staff do was to walk into the arena as a guest and take notes on what, as a guest perspective, what they wanted to see change. You can, as a worker, facility member, walk into that building every day, do your same routine, and never notice things that can improve. So we all drove around to the front of the building like a guest would. We all came in the front doors. We had the lights off, music turned up like a concert, and we all walked in and kind of just had a different perspective on what a guest would see when they come in the building. We took notes. And so from 2015 to 2018, our attendance has increased over 130%.
Wow.
That's a crazy number, I know,
Yeah.
but going from 50,000 attendance to over 140,000 attendance in just 3 years was one large goal of ours, was to, let the community know that, hey, we're out here, we exist, but also let the touring world and concerts and clients, rental clients, know that we provide a service that sometimes you can't get anywhere else. And through making sure our guests and clients are happy, to increase in our attendance, to increase in our event load, which has also changed dramatically over the last 3 years, we've been able to prove growth and continue that growth. So I guess looking at future plans, that just continues. Last year, 2018, was the best year in the arena's history.
Is that right?
The highest attendance. We had 5 sold-out shows, which for an arena our size, 6,500 seats, in a market that we live in, that's hard to do. When I looked at moving here, one of the most challenging things was the entertainment value in this market. I've never seen a town that has Intrust Bank Arena, Hartman Arena, Coke Arena, Cotillion, Century 2. I mean, there's just so much to do here. It's incredible. It's amazing. So the challenge is there. There's a lot of competition, and it's fun. But for us to do what we did last year and having it be done for the first time in basically 9 years was pretty incredible. The 2019, we enter this March, Hartman Arena will turn 10. And so this is our 10-year, this is our 10-year anniversary. And, I've only been here for basically 4 years of it, but so much has changed in that 10 years. And we constantly brag about it and try and show the improvements we've made, and that can only help us grow as well. So future for Hartman Arena, continued growth, focus on our customers, our guests, and make sure that we deliver a product to them that, makes them smile. Kind of the reason I got into this business. I turned around and saw all those people smiling. Mm-hmm. We want to make people smile.
Nice. Got a kind of two-parter here for you. First part, any past mistakes that you want to avoid in the future?
Of course, there's always mistakes that you make throughout your whole career or just, term life here at Hartman. But I would say making sure that we step outside of our box a little bit more. And again, going back to what we first did in 2015 and walking through those front doors as a guest.
Right.
That you should probably really do that every year. The improvements and the changes we've made, redesigning our concession stands, upgrading our HVAC system, installing new concession equipment, redesigning some of our bars to help emphasize guest experience and create a better guest experience are things that we should step outside the box and reevaluate every single year. So I don't know if there's many mistakes that we haven't learned from, but making sure that if we do make mistakes, that we learn from them, because everyone makes mistakes here and there. But as long as you move on from them and grow from them, that's kind of the important part.
And part two is any past successes that you want to build on.
2018, like I said, was a great year for us. One of the most exciting things I think that and let me start by saying Hartman Arena is in Park City. Park City gives us a lot of support. We all recognize that we are in Sedgwick County, and whether it's Wichita, Park City, we don't fight over that. It's community based. We're there for the community. We're there to support whether it's a charity that's not necessarily based in Park City, it's in Wichita, or it's a guest coming from Wichita. We're there for the community as a whole. So in saying that, in October for our Mercy Me concert, which was the highest attendance in the venue's history.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I brought in the agent and the promoter the day before Mercy Me. It was on a Saturday, so we brought them in on Friday, and I took them out golfing. Took them out to Prairie Dunes and had the most amazing experience I've ever had personally, but that they've ever had. We ended up playing 36 holes because the first 18 wasn't fun enough, so we just kept going, and then we kept going. On the 18th fairway, we were hitting our approach into the green. It was pitch black. You couldn't see. The sun had just dipped down over the horizon. All you could do was listen to hear if the ball hit the green, or if it didn't hit the green, it went in the weeds, and you weren't going to find it anyway. Right. So, from that to then the show being so successful and sold out on Saturday, to taking them to dinner and, going down to Mort's to show them the nightlife of Old Town and brag about Wichita, what Wichita has to offer. Their comment at the end of the weekend was, "Who knew?" And we've kind of taken that to the arena's kind of our mission statement of just saying, who knew Wichita could be so fun? And the more I travel, the more I meet people that know of Wichita or have some sort of ties through Wichita. But there's so much to offer here to the outer regions that, and not a lot of people always know that it would be as fun as it was, but I've made sure that they had a great time and that they saw what we have to offer.
Right.
From that success, obviously we want to build and continue to grow our concert industry side of things going into our 10-year anniversary of 2019, but also 2020 and beyond.
You're listening to CEOs You Should Know this morning. Our guest, Ben Bolander, Executive Director of Hartman Arena. Ben, what advice would you have for any of our listeners who are thinking of following a similar career path as you?
Volunteer or start working as soon as you can with a local arena. There's plenty of options to choose from here, whether it's arena-based, theater-based, convention center-based. Take tickets. Be an usher. Just start working that part-time side of things and sit back and listen and ask our local community leaders if you could shadow them for an event or for a week. Just spend maybe an hour with them at lunch, even to talk with them. That'd be the best advice. I still love to this day taking tickets. One of the things that really connects me the most with our guests coming in is just to stand at the door and scan tickets, welcome them, tell jokes, make them feel, sorry you had to stand outside in the cold and you're coming in from the rain or what have you. Come inside, it's warm, and communicate with them and ask, how'd you hear about the show? Where'd you find your tickets? Just making sure that they have a great time, and as soon as they enter that building, they're already smiling. So I would challenge, if you want to get into this business, sit back, listen, and just start volunteering or working at our local venues. Another option, obviously, is, I know Wichita State has a good sports management program, starting some classes out there to kind of see what, from the textbook side of things, what this industry is like. There's a lot of things that, it's not just unlocking the doors and letting people in. That's a huge myth about our industry. There's so much work behind it. You could plan for an event for 6 months, and you're still planning week of to make sure that you have all the small little items checked off. So I guess hopefully that answers your question. But there's a lot that you could do to try and get into this industry. But key is just to listen and learn from our current leaders. We are not inventing the wheel by any means. I call it, we acquire ideas from other venues and then kind of manipulate them to fit our situation. But it's rare that something hasn't already been done, experienced, or taught. Mm-hmm. So using your local resources and asking them questions is a very good first step.
Is there something that really surprised you when you got into the industry that you didn't think about? Like, wow, I didn't expect that.
I didn't think about that question. That's one. I'll continue to think on that question. But okay. One thing I wanted to learn, I've always been a hockey player. I've loved hockey my entire life. And my goal was to one day work at the Pepsi Center in Denver. Out of college, I ended up going to Denver for about 6 months for an internship. And that's, after getting my master's, I'm going to do an unpaid internship, living in a garage, half garage that I found downtown Denver and rented. I pretty much lived on everything I could fit in my truck and drive out there with. But I learned a ton from that. But in doing that, growing into Kennewick, Washington, being there for 6 years, we had ice. And for the first time ever, I got to build ice. And I can remember my first time doing it, there was so much that went into it. Mm-hmm. I had no idea that it even existed. I thought it was laying water down, painting it white, and you're done.
That was it.
There's so much more to it than that. But going through that for 6 years, being able to train other people how to build ice, being able to train Zamboni drivers. I'm a terrible Zamboni driver,
right,
but I can train you how to drive one. Those were kind of little fun moments in my career that, this is the first building I've worked in actually that doesn't have ice.
Oh, okay.
And there are days that I miss it.
Right.
During the winter, I don't miss it because you're coming from the cold into the cold. Yeah. At least we don't have ice to make it cold inside. But
right.
It was a surprise to see how much went into making ice and how much effort it took to make it quality enough for a semi-professional hockey team to play on it.
Nice answer. What are your goals and plans for the future for yourself?
Wow, man, it seems like I've been here for almost 10 years already, but I've only been here for 3. My goal was my goal 3 years ago, my first day on the job, I had a little yellow Post-it note on my computer, my laptop, and I wrote down 5 things that had to, not necessarily change, but improve at the arena. And I've been able to check all of them off. And it's been incredible because our staff, there's only 8 of us, and we've all come together and work as a team. We would not exist or even come close to the successes that we had last year and the previous years without them. So, my personal goals through, the next 5 years, even to 10 years, is to continue to try and grow our staff, try and grow our team, and myself in doing that. The arena last year won a few awards that it has not won previously. So, to try and increase maybe not necessarily the local recognition, but the industry recognition of the venue is a goal of mine over the next 3 years. But personally wise, I've I don't know if I want to say any of them on the air really, but for the goal, I think growing the staff is kind of the key point to kind of take away from that question.
Outstanding. Well, Ben, this has been great. Thanks so much for being with us. Ben Bolander, the Executive Director of Hartman Arena. Hope to have you back soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's another CEO You Should Know. Thanks for being a part of our community. And thank you for listening to this iHeart Wichita radio station.